Here are 10 lesser-known historical facts about Canada. The Fenian Raids, 1866 to 1871. In the years following the American Civil War, a group of Irish-American revolutionaries known as the Fenians launched several raids into Canadian territory, hoping to pressure the British government into granting Ireland independence. These raids, although largely unsuccessful, played a role in convincing Canadian provinces to unite in confederation for greater defense against external threats. The Halifax Explosion, 1917. On December 6, 1917, Halifax, Nova Scotia, was the site of the largest human-made explosion before the atomic bomb. The French cargo ship SS Mont Blanc, loaded with munitions, collided with the Norwegian vessel SS Imo in Halifax Harbor, resulting in a massive blast that killed around 2,000 people and injured over 9,000 more. The explosion devastated much of the city and led to a significant outpouring of aid from across Canada and the United States. Canada's Underground Railroad for slaves, 1830s to 1865. While many people are familiar with the Underground Railroad that brought enslaved African Americans to freedom in the northern United States, Canada also played a key role as a final destination. Between 30,000 and 40,000 escaped slaves sought refuge in Canada, with the government officially banning slavery in 1834, years before the United States. The Mad Trapper of Rat River, from 1931 to 1932, was a manhunt that captured national attention in the Canadian Arctic during the early 1930s. A mysterious figure known as the Mad Trapper, later identified as Albert Johnson, eluded the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, or RCMP, for over a month in the harsh Arctic wilderness. He was eventually killed in a shootout, but his true identity and motivations remain a mystery to this day. The Lost Franklin Expedition of 1845 saw Sir John Franklin leading an expedition to find the Northwest Passage, a sea route through the Arctic connecting the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. The two ships, HMS Erebus and HMS Terror, disappeared, prompting numerous search efforts over decades. It wasn't until 2014 and 2016 that the wrecks of both ships were discovered in the Canadian Arctic, shedding new light on the ill-fated expedition. The Great Peace of Montreal in 1701 saw representatives from over 40 Indigenous nations gathering in Montreal to negotiate a peace treaty with the French colonial authorities. This treaty, known as the Great Peace of Montreal, brought an end to nearly a century of conflict between the Iroquois Confederacy and the French settlers. It is considered a significant moment in the history of Indigenous diplomacy in North America. Africville was a small, predominantly black community in Halifax, Nova Scotia, founded in the early 1800s by formerly enslaved people and their descendants. Despite its vibrant culture, the community was systematically neglected by local authorities. In the 1960s, the city of Halifax forcibly relocated the residents and demolished Africville in the name of urban renewal. The destruction of Africville remains a controversial chapter in Canadian history and an example of systemic racism. The Klondike Gold Rush Mounted Police, from 1896 to 1899. During the Klondike Gold Rush, thousands of prospectors headed to the Yukon in search of fortune. The Royal Northwest Mounted Police, the precursor to the RCMP, played a key role in maintaining order, ensuring that the gold rush town of Dawson City did not become lawless like many American frontier towns. They enforced strict regulations, including weighing gold dust used as currency and maintaining customs at the Chilkoot Pass. The Quebec Bridge Collapse of 1907. The Quebec Bridge, spanning the St. Lawrence River, collapsed twice during its construction. The first collapse in 1907 killed 75 workers, making it one of Canada's deadliest construction accidents. The second collapse in 1916 resulted in 13 more deaths. The bridge was finally completed in 1919 and remains the longest cantilever bridge span in the world. The Canadian Vampire Trial of 1899. In 1899, a bizarre court case in Halifax involved a woman who believed she was possessed by a vampire. The woman accused a neighbor of being the vampire responsible for her illness, leading to a legal battle that attracted international attention. The case is considered one of Canada's strangest courtroom dramas, and highlights the lingering superstitions in some rural communities at the turn of the century. These facts reflect Canada's diverse and complex history, from Indigenous diplomacy to supernatural courtroom dramas.